Motown.
Well, Lock Lane Studios is a fairly new kind of entity. We renamed it at some point last year, about a year ago. Before then, it was called Performance Studio, and it's in that sense it's been around for about 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. But we renamed it as part of a whole kind of rebranding thing. We changed around the how we worked. You know, we've made some changes to the actual kind of aesthetics of the place, as well as updating gear and things like that. And it was part of a kind of move to kind of push it forward, because before that it was actually built by a guy called Alan Smith, who was an engineer producer, who kind of, it was more of a project studio for him, so he wanted to just kind of work with bands, but it grew and grew and grew, and became to the point where it could be a commercial studio. And so we just kind of, when we took over, we eventually decided to take the step of kind of moving it forward into a more commercial venture. Well, my favourite part, I think, is I don't know, it's working with bands or working with artists who are kind of dedicated to what they're doing, and they want to kind of improve, and will work together as a kind of collaborative effort to kind of improve on what they've kind of done before, and just making the recording as good as possible, kind of experimenting with different techniques and finding out what works best. I don't know what your favourite.
Apart from the maintenance.
Oh, maintenance,
I think the same. Yeah, we're quite lucky with some of the acts we get through. It's quite good. I guess it's best when they've kind of got some kind of vision of where they want it to go, but we don't mind even helping them with that as well. Yeah,
I mean, it's always good to be able to give input to someone that's receptive and that wants to kind of improve what they're set down doing. It's good to just get the best out of them. Is realising what their potential is, where they're at the moment, and how to kind of fuse those two things together.
Right, Spanish for bull. Alright. And then the letter Y, go figures. And then Y as in like the French for moi.
This is it lined up.
So the Y is...
The Y is on its own.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bonnie in the back.
Sneakers on my feet.
There goes Bonnie in the back.
Sneakers on my feet.
There goes Bonnie in the back.
Sneakers on my
There
feet.
goes Bonnie in the back.
Sneakers on my
I
feet.
said money in the bank.
Sneakers on my feet.
I said money in the bank.
Sneakers on my
There
feet.
goes Bonnie in the bank.
Sneakers on my feet.
Good you go.
Just look up and I'm dancing on screen.
Oh yeah, so this is actually quite a good timing, because that was when I first met Matt, and
Right.
we were I was doing this in-store like performance thing with like Fly 53, and we had a few DJs, and I did like a PA and a show and stuff, and Matt kind of knows me from older records and stuff. I was talking to Matt the other day, and he was like, yeah, I remember bopping on the street listening to Money in the Bank. I never thought I'd be, you know, when he lived back where he lived and stuff, so I was a bit like, okay. But yeah, that's how I kind of got to know Matt, because I was doing this, and then we had this other night, and I kind of knew his girlfriend who worked in this clothes shop, and then he kind of introduced himself, told me he had a studio, gave me his business card, and then I think I had to go off do some other gigs, and I didn't really have time, and then another couple of weeks I gave him a call, came up. And when I was coming here, I was like, oh no, it's that same studio that I came to before with Amadeus and shit. No, the guy who owned the studio, the kid called Amadeus.
Okay,
It's just, to this day, it just rings in my head, like, call it Amadeus. Fucking hell. That's a bit, do you know what I mean? It's a bit intense, like, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But the studio wasn't really up to scratch. It was like in disarray and stuff, and wasn't really running properly. So I was like, this is going to be a wasted journey. Came up, walked in, and these guys had just sorted it. Do you know what I mean? Just on it. Do you know what I mean? See,
And what do you think of the Loughlin Studios?
it's a little home from home now, man. I'm getting a lot of stuff done. Do you know what I mean? It's the element that I needed to move forward with me as an artist and as the label. It's like a real good tie-in together because Loughlin, obviously they're the studio, but they're not a label, and we're a label but not a studio. And there's just a real crossover for both of us to like, at the moment, Loughlin are A&Ring for us as well. So that a lot of artists that come through Loughlin, do you know what I mean? If they're exceptional, shall we say? If they're, you know, you're A&Ring for the label as well, so it's like you're getting an exceptional artist, and you think you can push it forward. And
they're worthy of your time.
well, yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? Many are not.
Like the Spanish for bull. Alright. And then the letter Y, go figures. And then Y as in like the French for what? This is it lined up. The Y is on its own.
Probably the most challenging part of the kind of music side of things is dealing with the money side of things, because it's, you know, at the end of the day we've sat and I've enjoyed it and they've enjoyed it, and it's difficult to then turn around and say, oh right, well you owe me this much for that session. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you've got to keep the lights on. It's, you know, it's a business, but it's kind of, you know, it's difficult to kind of branch that gap between kind of, because you come, some kind of clients you become quite close with, and then suddenly to put your kind of business hat on and say, you know, if there's a problem with money, or if there's like you know, something that they didn't realise that was supposed to be paid and all that kind of stuff. I think that's most challenging, certainly for me.
Oh, it's not like that. Well, yeah, hold on. Let's see how it goes.
Production values are increasing by the day, I think. There's no kind of room for errors. But then again, the producer's role has kind of changed as well. You've got to wear kind of all the hats. You've got to do the mastering, you've got to do the editing, the tracking. There's no kind of separate roles anymore.
I think certainly that recording studios becoming less necessary as they used to be. You know, it used to be simple. You're a band, you wanted to record, you go to a recording studio, they sort it out, and then that's it. But now, you know, you might get someone who's recorded something at home and brings it in for you to kind of sort out to make it sound good, which is always a bit of a challenge. But also, you know, it's that old kind of thing of diversify or die. You know, you got to see how else a recording studio can be used. You know, with an attached rehearsal, which is, you know, that's not a new idea, but it's something that kind of that we've branched out into, and you know, doing things like digital conversions for people who've got tapes that want it digitised, and people recording kind of various different things that aren't necessarily kind of your standard band doing a song.
But what do you think of the music scene in Huddersfield?
It's really good.
There's a lot of innovation going on around here, I think.